What's up, YouTubers and reptile freaks? This will be part 2 of my cage build. I've got everything laid out here so you guys can see kind of what I built last night or on the last video. But this piece here is 96 by 36. This will be the top inside of the cage. This is the outside. I've got a groove routed in for the window track, a groove routed in for the ceiling for the arch support. This is the arch support. This is 34 1/4 by 17 1/8. So as this cage gets built, this will fit basically right there. This is one of the sides of the cages. This is 17 by 35 1/2. This piece here is basically identical, just a mirror of the other one. It's 17 by 35 1/2. This thing back here is the face of the cage, but you're looking at it from the inside of the cage. This one is 95 by 17, and it's also got the groove routed for the arch support. I'm going to kind of go like that. Back here is the back of the cage, looking at it from the inside of the cage. It's got the vents routed in already, groove routed in the center for the arch support, the index arch support. This piece is 96 by 17. And over here, I don't have it in the frame, but the bottom of the cage is 96 by 36, and it's basically a mirror image of this, except it doesn't have this groove routed in. So we're going to go ahead and get all these pieces picked up and laid back over here. And we're going to start with the bottom and the sides, and you'll see how it goes. So this piece right here is a little jig I made to hold the side panel up at a right angle to the rest of the cage to kind of support it. So what I do is just I'll clamp this down, and then I'll clamp the other piece to it, and I had some samples of window track sent to me a while back, and I just put the window track in the groove that it goes in, and then slide this up, butt it up against it, and then I'll use a little scrap piece to get the spacing on the side here. So once I go to clamp the side on, it's going to be pretty much right on the money as far as being flush with the outside of the cage. So I use these little scraps to kind of index the part where it needs to go. So instead of putting the entire panel back here, I use a piece that's made out of the same material, the same thickness, I can run it up against here and see when it's pushed up against the back or the side panel, if there's going to be an edge right here, and then I can adjust the side piece forward and backwards, just so I can try to make everything line up just right. So this piece is 36 deep on the bottom. This one here is 35.5, and this is half. There's a tiny bit of an edge, but I think it's gonna be just fine. I think it'll work out right. And I'll just take a tape measure and make a mark every 6 inches. That's where I've been putting my screws. Okay, so I'm going to put the face of the cage on next, and what I like to do is I'll take one of my scraps, either a piece of window track or a scrap piece of material, and put it in the groove of the window track. And then I'll use my square to make a mark right here. So basically, once the window track's in, the face, the front of the cage will butt up against the window track. So with that said, I'll use a straight edge to go straight up from this groove all the way up, and it gives me an index line so that I can screw the face of the cage up this edge. And I'll also transfer the mark over on the back side and make my little marks for the screw holes, where the screws will be centered in the face of the cage. My last video, if you watch long enough, before I put these pieces away, I flipped them over and run a straight edge along them and made all my marks exactly where the screws are going to go. And it should be, I'll go ahead and screw this screw through, but it should be 1/4 of an inch back from this edge, which will center it into the panel once this front face is on. That should be roughly 1/4 of an inch. Actually, it's a little more. I'd say it's more like 9/16. So as I put the other screws in, I'll just put them shy of the line on this side of the lines I made down here. So what I do for these screws down here, all I'll do is just put a couple in here, and I'll wait till I'll flip the cage over and then screw it in going downward instead of having to get on my knees. It's a little tougher doing it from underneath, so it's kind of only temporary. All right, guys, so there you have it. I've got the cage all screwed together. The next step, I'm gonna wipe out the inside and I'm gonna prep all the edges of the cage and prep the inside to seal it and also glue the window track down. So hope you enjoyed this one and we'll see you next time. Bye now.